The JRPG creator space is changing. I mean, really, it's always changing, but today I wanted to talk about a recent change, one that affects my channel in ways I've yet to see, but will soon and will also likely affect many other smaller JRPG channels as well. After that, I want to talk about some ways that creators, big and small, can request games from their favorite companies for the purposes of promotion. It's not really cutting-edge news, but very recently, Nippon Ichi Software America, mostly referred to as NIS America, has made a giant change to the way that creators can request games for review. From way before we started this channel in 2019, if a creator was interested in making a game request, they could sign up for an account to an NIS Press website where games would be listed and requests could be made. I honestly think I was a little late to make it into the program, but as late as 2019, it was absurdly easy to get an account on the page and make requests. Normally what we find as creators is that a lot of the big companies have these programs, but when small channels make requests to join, they get denied. It makes a ton of sense. Small pages generally have small reach, and small communities and giant game companies don't want to give out free copies of their games, only to get a small amount of return. This is my opinion, but I personally believe that up until somewhat recently, NIS saw themselves as a very small company who made very niche games only known by a few, and any sales they had in the Western world were just a start to growing a larger income at some point. As time has went on, the JRPG scene in the West has grown tremendously, and many Japanese companies who saw the West as a potential extra income avenue are now looking at it as a major income source. So initially their creator program was very loose, and they were open to a wide variety of sizes of creators to promote and inform niche gaming fans of their releases, which meant that creators like me, who only had a few hundred subs at the time of sign up, could join the website, get a preview key for their games, and make content for the release of these incredible series. It was a really amazing program for me as I was actively excited about their games, and thanks to having early access, I was able to make videos that not only promoted their games to new audiences, but also helped my channel grow tremendously. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a huge part in thanks to this program with NIS that my channel was able to grow to the size it is today, and I've been extremely proud to work with them the way I have for these past 5 years. The program was not perfect though. I'm sure that over time the company had seen a lot of review requests that just weren't providing any measurable promotion for them, and from what I can tell, there wasn't really a great way for the company to gauge or control their creators' content. I'm a bit ashamed to say this, but even I have a number of games I requested review keys for that I never made content for a number of reasons, none of which are valid enough to take a game without providing content. I have no evidence, but I'm certain, despite not having much aside from anecdotal evidence, that over time this has to be a problem for the company and its key delivery service. Along with that issue, creators also had a pretty hard time getting a hold of support for service or issues with keys. I thankfully only had a few issues during my time with the program, but during those times it was wildly frustrating to not have any or much support to help me create the promotional content I had plans for. The worst of these issues was a rather lengthy amount of time where I couldn't access the website at all and therefore could not submit content I created or request new keys. I thought I was removed from the program, and I reached out to a huge number of resources I had with the company, but I never got a single reply. One day though, my login just worked and it remained active until this most recent change. So a few weeks ago I received an email, as did many of my friends I reached out to. It was from NIS, and in short it stated that as of the time I received the email, the NIS Press site was no longer going to be active and that key distribution has been migrated to Keymailer. If you're not familiar with it, I'll talk about it more in detail soon, but in short, Keymailer is a key distribution service for creators and developers that handles a very wide range of developers and creators. I'm not exactly trying to call the sky is falling here, but the previous NIS Press site and Keymailer operate completely differently, and at the very least this means that creators will likely soon lose a lot of luxuries we once had on a site that appeared to be interested in supporting smaller creators by helping them grow while promoting their products. I'm not saying that Keymailer is inherently bad, and honestly as a move for a company, NIS America may be doing the best decision for themselves, but I can't help but be a little concerned at what that means for me. At the end of the day, I need to do what I need to do given the resources I have, and companies like NIS will do what's best for them to grow and be successful. Maybe this change doesn't affect me like I think it will, or maybe it means I'll have a lot less content from them. That just means I need to look at other avenues though, and I hold no ill wills toward this company as they've done so much for me and my channel since it was created. I'd love to hear your thoughts from other creators. If you see this video, let me know. I even reached out on email to NIS. They had an email that you could send responses to when they made that change announcement. And I was just kind of asking them if there was going to be any sort of whitelisting for people that were previously in the other program or anything. And as of this date, I haven't received a response yet. I'm not expecting to get one either. With that, I know I have a few other content creators who watch my page and a few people who have an interest in content creation, so I want to talk about some of the best tools I have at my disposal to request game keys, and also talk about what I like and don't like about each of them. Since we just finished talking about them, let's start with Keymailer. Keymailer.co is one of the first key distribution sites I started using as a creator. It's really easy to sign up for and allows you to connect multiple social media accounts to it, such as YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, personal websites, and now even TikTok. It also allows you to connect to your Steam profile, though I don't know why. Along with connecting multiple accounts, the website offers what I'd consider to be the largest amount of keys to request as a smaller creator. The major downside to this, though, is that means there is a huge amount of very small developers offering keys, and you're going to see a ton of really unappealing games offered to you, which you will have to sort through. There's a very overwhelming amount of developers making obvious cash grab games or their very first low quality games here. Depending on the type of creator, this might be fantastic news, but if you're like me and you only want to cover games that you think your viewers are really going to enjoy, it can be a bit of a mess trying to dig through them. A lot of these devs even make really good looking thumbnails, so you'll spend a lot of time initially thinking something looks really great, only to find out it's not anything like you expected. Not only can you request game keys here, but developers can also send you keys unsolicited. This initially will feel really good, but you'll soon find out that a lot of what you're given by devs don't match anything about your page's style or your personal interests. I always feel bad, but I deny or ignore a lot of those requests. As your page grows, you'll get access to be pre-approved for games, which is great too. This means certain games will be flagged for immediate approval if you want them. Again, as a small creator, you are not likely to see a lot of what you want that is easy to get like this though. Most of the time on the site will be spent looking at tabs and tabs of new and upcoming games, finding ones you like best. When you want a game, there's a little request button you pick, which will prompt some questions, and from there you'll have to wait until you get manually approved or denied. I personally found it to take a really long time in some cases, and the games I'm most excited about will often never reply to me, leaving me to just manually delete the request months later just to clean out my request view. As I understand it, Keymailer uses the data from your connected accounts to assist devs with approving or denying keys for creators, so oftentimes you'll just get weeded out on requests by your size. So I've had a few cases where the dev has actually looked at my content and manually approved me based on the personal characteristics of my channel over the size of it, which is really cool, but not common. Full disclosure before I talk about the next one, LURKIT. At the time of this video, I am in the content creator program for LURKIT. I obviously do like the program, and I'm going to talk pretty positively about it, so I think it's important that I'm at least upfront with you with this info. I will say that I applied to the program due to enjoying it, so I don't think I'm being too overly optimistic of what they offer, but I'll let you decide. In my opinion, LURKIT is quite a bit different than most other key services, and a lot of that has to do with what services and programs they offer. Initially, when I joined the site, there was basically just two different ways to get keys. One was a key request where you make content in agreement with accepting a key, and the other was called a quest, where you agree to meet specific objectives for a company at a set payment rate, which you both agree on. Basically, you see listings where a company will tell you what they want from you and what you'll get from them, and then you'll put in a bid for how much you'll pay, and if they accept, you'll earn money for making content, which is a really cool thing, especially if you're new and a small creator. My favorite site feature though is that they have creator programs groups where companies and organizations can set requirements to join. Anyone who meets the minimum requirements can request to join, and if you're accepted, you can get benefits like the ability to access their entire library of game keys for review and also access to the future keys they put out. It's a pretty cool way for creators to engage with companies that's beneficial for both, and it makes you feel like you're part of something with your favorite game companies, which I really can't understate as like something that helps with the mental health of creators, is just finding things that you enjoy and feeling kind of impassioned about what you're making. LURKIT themselves also has a creator program too, where they offer various rewards for meeting promotional objectives, which is the program that I'm in. I'm not too sure how much I can say on the specifics, but it involves basic social media and content promotion for the company and various brands that they work with. Overall, I really like the UI of this site and the features, and its selection of games isn't as big as the others on this list, but I do think that it offers some unique experiences for creators that you just don't find on other key sites. RAINMAKER. Of all the sites on this list, I'd say that for smaller creators, RAINMAKER not only has the smallest selection of games, but also the least amount of updates and the most minimal UI. Their mobile site doesn't even really work. That said, it's a site that's not only easy to log into, but also has some of the highest quality games listed. Now, keep in mind, I'd say that over the years, I've maybe only been approved for maybe 2 or 3 games, but even with that, I think it's worth checking it out on the regular. The main reason why is that the site is the only one I've seen that lower sized creators can join and have access to requesting keys for super giant devs in the space, such as Square Enix and Capcom. Again, the odds of being smaller and being approved is fairly low here, but an opportunity is better than no opportunity. And I could say I've had some success, like the time I got to work with Square Enix for the release of Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core on the Nintendo Switch. An opportunity I never thought that I would have, and it was actually kind of cool to sign a contract. I'll leave this off by saying this service does require a little bit more input from the creator, as when you request a game, you also have to provide a brief description of why you want the key. Personally, I like that though, because I feel like it gives me the opportunity to let the sponsor know what content I'll be making using their product and what terms I'm willing to agree with prior to working with them. I always tell them, like, I'll sign an NDA. I have no problem, meeting any sort of requirements that they have for embargoes. And I just kind of give them a brief rundown. I'd like to do this for live streaming. I'd like to make videos for, tips and tricks or whatever I want to do. I just kind of explain it there. And I feel like you at least have somewhat of a shot because a human seems to actually review these, which is just a really big thing and not common with these. Terminals.io. Being fully transparent, I often forget to check terminals for key requests. This service is one of the oddest in this list, as the selection of games offered seems to be all over the place. And it's kind of hard to sort through games that are available. A lot of the listings are for games not yet available, and there's dev sizes from like AAA to small indie games. I do like to check the site at least a few times a month though, as I found some really unique games here, like the time I got to cover Volcano Princess. Outside of the site navigation and it being challenging to find content you want to cover, this site has probably one of the most unique features, which is the ability to actually talk to humans and to be talked to like a human. I know that sounds pretty weird, but 99% of these sites are so robotic and algorithmic, as you're basically just clicking buttons to get keys. When you get one, you just get some plain boilerplate email stating the key and your requirements, and you either get no confirmation or denial, or you just straight up get a thank you message, try again. Terminals is a little different in the way that each game has a publicly listed PR person for it. And when you apply, if you don't get the game, you get a nice semi-personal feeling message back. I mean, it is probably somewhat boilerplatey, but it still feels a little bit better. Or if you're accepted, you get a little response that has your requirements in it. During the content creation process, I've had good luck talking with the PR person about any questions I have. And when I'm nearing deadlines, I've had them reach out to me as well and let me know, like, hey man, get this done. You only have so much longer. So while the game selection is odd, this one offers something that I'd say is very respectable for creators. And I think that it's at least worth checking here and there. INDIEBOOST CATAPULT. So CATAPULT by INDIEBOOST is only on this list because I feel that it needs to be put out there more, that this site appears to be going through something internally now, and it's been in its current state for quite some time. Months, like multiple months, maybe even a year now. A few years ago though, I actually used to really love the site. It was similar to what I was saying in the LURKIT section, where the site is a middleman for connecting creators and developers to provide content for payment. It worked really well for a while too. I was making extra money through the site by covering games, and it had a pretty interesting selection of game devs to work with. I can't remember exactly when, but at least 6 months ago, the site really started to change in weird ways though, and after that, reports of the company not paying creators really started to spread on the site. and there was definitely a huge decline with the games that were offered. Now, when you look at the site, the first thing that pops up is a window letting you know that payments are delayed, which, yeah, is like an excellent sign of what you might have to expect if you go ahead and use the site. There's really not many games listed anymore. I've basically just seen now where there's some low tier mobile games. It was a cool site at one point, but I just wanted to let everyone know how it's changed and suggest maybe just watching the site to see if it gets better or not, but you probably don't want to get involved right at this time. I will say no more. PressEngine. PressEngine is the last platform on this list and is the one I know the very least about. I really recently signed up for it, and from what I can tell, it seems to be very active. There's a lot of indie devs here, and the quality of the game seems to be above board. Sign up took a little bit of time since you have to fill out a little online form and have it approved before logging in. Still, that only took a day at most, which I felt was really quick. The page layout, I think, leaves a little bit to be desired, and there's a mobile page too that isn't the greatest, but better than some of these sites, which I don't consider mobile browser support existing at all. It could sound silly, but I think it's fair to say that most creators use their phone most of the time for keeping up with things related to them, content creating, and I'm really not sure why key review pages do not have proper mobile support. But enough of that, back to PressEngine. The site isn't overly easy to navigate and to find things that might pair with my channel the best, but shortly after joining, I started to receive a few emails from devs offering review keys to promote their game. I gotta say, the information for the games offered is displayed in my favorite way of all the sites. It's a simple thing, but sometimes I find with these sites, they separate all the rules or information on separate windows. And over time, it gets annoying to remember where what is located at, especially if you're in the middle of doing content and you want to spot check your requirements or use specific language that they request. In my opinion, it has everything I'd want all in one place here. A brief synopsis of the game, what platform it's on, who publishes and develops it, their websites, the release date, the embargo date and time, where to get the press kit, how to activate the key, and what requirements and timeline for the coverage are. It's literally all-encompassing in one spot. I'm sure my thoughts will change as I use the site more, but for right now, I'm pretty new to it, and I think it's definitely worth checking out this one. Before the video ends, I did want to mention that I didn't put WOOVIT in here. If you guys have ever heard of that one, it's like a really, really big site. And I just want to say the reason why I'm not including it is because I have literally been waiting to get access to it for like over a year, and my page size just isn't big enough. So it's really just not a good one for small creators. You can open it up and, you know, start your profile and everything, but you're literally not going to have access to anything. It looks like it has a great selection, but you won't have access to anything until you've at least met the full requirements for the YouTube Partner Program if you're a YouTuber, or different requirements for Twitch. I'm not really sure what they are. I don't do Twitch, but you can check that out if you want to. It's just not really something I'd highly recommend to check out right away for small creators. If you guys like this content, hit the thumbs up. If you don't, hit the thumbs down, and subscribe to Otaku for more anime news, reviews, gaming, and a bunch of other Japanese stuff. Catch you later.